Learning English can be fun and easy if you start with questions and answers. Questions help us talk to other people. They are the beginning of every conversation. For example, when you meet someone new, you might ask, "What is your name?" This is how we start talking. Answers are just as important because they help us reply and keep the conversation going. If someone asks you a question, you need to answer so they know more about you. For example, if someone asks, "Where do you live?" you can say, "I live in New York." Without answers, the conversation stops. When we practice questions and answers, speaking English becomes natural. It is like a game where one person asks, and the other person replies. You can practice simple questions like, "How are you today?" or "Do you like music?" These questions are easy, and everyone uses them in daily life. The more you practice, the better you get at speaking. Start with small sentences like, "My name is Anna," or "I am 20 years old." This way, you can feel confident when you talk. It is also helpful to use full sentences when you answer. For example, instead of saying just New York, say, "I live in New York." This makes your speaking clear and easy to understand. You can practice in front of a mirror or with a friend. Listen to how others answer questions and try to copy them. This will help you sound more natural. As you learn, remember that questions and answers are everywhere in English. They are in every conversation, big or small. When you go to the shop, you might ask, "How much is this?" At school or work, you might ask, "What time is the meeting?" Even at home, you can ask your family, "What do you want for dinner?" These are all chances to practice English. The more you use questions and answers, the easier it becomes to speak. To get better, practice every day. You don't need to study for hours. Just 10 minutes a day can make a big difference. You can make flashcards with questions on one side and answers on the other. Practice saying them out loud. Talk to yourself in English if you don't have anyone to talk to. For example, ask yourself, "What did I eat today?" Then answer, "I ate rice and chicken." Little by little, you will feel more comfortable speaking English. To speak English well, you need to learn question words. These words help you ask about different things like places, times, and people. The most common question words are what, where, when, who, why, and how. Each word has a special job. For example, what is for things. You can ask, "What is this?" if you see something new. Where is for places. You can ask, "Where do you live?" to know someone's home or city. These words make it easy to start a conversation. When is another important word. It helps you talk about time. For example, you can ask, "When is your birthday?" or "When do you go to school?" This word is very useful because we often talk about time in daily life. Next is who. This word is for people. If you want to know someone better, you can ask, "Who is your best friend?" or "Who teaches you English?" These questions help you learn more about others. Why is a special word because it asks about reasons. For example, if someone looks sad, you can ask, "Why are you sad?" This shows you care about their feelings. Finally, there is how. This word is for ways of doing things. You can ask, "How do you cook rice?" or "How do you go to work?" These questions help you understand the steps or methods people use. By learning these question words, you can ask almost anything in English. It is important to practice these words every day. Start with simple questions. For example, ask yourself, "Would I like to eat?" or "Where do I want to go today?" Then answer your own questions. You can also practice with friends or family. Ask them, "What is your favorite food?" or "Where did you go last weekend?" Listen to how they answer. This will help you learn new words and ideas. Another way to practice is by watching videos or listening to English speakers. Pay attention to how they use question words. For example, in a movie you might hear, "Who is that man?" or "How did you do that?" Try to copy what they say. Repeat the questions and answers out loud. This will help you sound more natural when you speak. Remember, question words are the key to good conversations. They let you ask about many topics, from food to hobbies to travel. The more you use them, the easier it becomes to talk to others. Practice one question word at a time. For example, Spend one day focusing on what, then move to where the next day. Slowly, you will feel confident using all the question words. Another important part of learning English is yes/no questions. These are very simple questions, and the answers are always yes or no. For example, you can ask, "Are you a student?" The person will answer, "Yes, I am," or "No, I am not." These questions are easy to practice because they only need short answers. They are also very common in daily life. You can use them to talk to friends, family, or even strangers. To make yes/no questions, you need to use special words like are, is, do, and does. For example, "Are you happy today?" or "Is this your book?" These questions are about people or things. If you want to ask about actions, you can use do or does. For example, "Do you like coffee?" or "Does she play football?" When you answer, you say yes or no, and then repeat the verb. For example, "Yes, I do," or "No, she does not." This makes your answers clear and correct. Practicing yes/no questions is a great way to start speaking English. You can practice by yourself or with someone else. If you are alone, you can ask yourself questions in front of a mirror. For example, ask, "Am I ready for school today?" Then answer, "Yes, I am," or "No, I am not." This helps you get used to the structure of the questions and answers. If you have a friend or family member to practice with, you can take turns asking and answering. For example, one person asks, "Do you like pizza?" And the other says, "Yes, I do," or "No, I don't." You can also make a list of yes/no questions to practice every day. Start with simple ones like, "Are you tired?" or "Do you like music?" Then move to more specific questions like, "Is English fun to learn?" or "Do you watch TV every day?" This will help you think of new questions and improve your vocabulary. The more questions you practice, the better you'll become at using them in real conversations. In daily life, yes/no questions are everywhere. At the shop, you might ask, "Is this shirt on sale?" At school, you might ask, "Do we have homework today?" Even at home, you can ask, "Are we having dinner soon?" These questions are short, but very useful. They help you get quick answers and keep conversations going. To sound more natural, try to speak slowly and clearly when you ask, and answer yes/no questions. Don't rush. Listen carefully to how others say these questions and copy their tone. For example, if someone asks, "Do you like ice cream?" Notice how they say it. Then try to say it the same way. In English, there are many common questions that people use every day. These questions help you start conversations and learn more about others. They are simple and easy to practice. For example, one of the first questions you might ask someone is, "What is your name?" This is how we introduce ourselves and get to know new people. After you ask, the person will answer with their name, like, "My name is Anna." You can also say, "Nice to meet you, Anna," to be polite. This makes the conversation friendly and natural. Another common question is, "How old are you?" This helps you know someone's age. People often ask this when they meet children or teenagers. For example, if you meet a child, you can ask, "How old are you?" The child might say, "I am 7 years old." Adults sometimes ask each other this question too, but it is less common because some people think it is personal. If you don't want to answer, you can say, "I prefer not to say," politely. "Where do you live?" is another important question. It helps you know where someone lives, such as their city or country. For example, you can ask, "Where do you live?" And the person might say, "I live in London." This is a good way to learn about others and find things you have in common. Maybe you live in the same city or country, and you can talk about places you both know. "What do you do?" is a question about someone's job or daily activities. For example, you can ask, "What do you do?" And the person might answer, "I am a teacher," or "I am a student." This helps you understand what someone does in their life. It is also a good way to start talking about work, school, or hobbies. If someone says they're a teacher, you can ask, "What do you teach?" This keeps the conversation going. "How are you today?" is a very friendly question. People ask this to show they care about you. The answer is usually short like, "I am fine," or "I am good." Sometimes people say, not so good, if they're feeling sad or tired. This question is nice because it makes people feel welcome and happy to talk. Other common questions are about likes and favorites. For example, you can ask, do you like music? Or, what is your favorite food? These questions help you learn about someone's interests. If you ask, what is your favorite food? The person might say, I love pizza, or my favorite food is sushi. This is a fun way to talk about things you both enjoy. To practice these questions, try using them in real life. When you meet someone new, ask, what is your name? Or where do you live? If you're with friends, ask, what is your favorite movie? Or do you like sports? The more you use these questions, the easier it becomes to talk to others. You can also write down these questions and practice saying them out loud. Over time, you'll feel confident using them in any situation. When someone asks you a question, it is important to answer in a simple and clear way. This makes it easy for the other person to understand you. In English, short answers are often enough, but using full sentences can make you sound more confident. For example, if someone asks, how old are you? You can say, I am 25 years old. This is better than just saying 25 because it sounds complete and polite. One good tip is to not speak too fast. When we are nervous, we sometimes talk quickly, and this can make it hard for others to follow what we are saying. Instead, take your time and speak slowly. For example, if someone asks, where do you live? You can pause, think, and then say, I live in Paris. Speaking slowly also gives you time to choose the right words and feel more relaxed. Another helpful idea is to use the same words from the question in your answer. This makes your answer clear and connected to the question. For example, if someone asks, what is your favorite food? You can answer, my favorite food is pizza. By repeating the word favorite food, you show that you understood the question and are giving a direct answer. This is a good habit to practice because it helps you stay focused. You can also practice answering questions in front of a mirror or with a friend. If you use a mirror, you can see how you look when you speak. This helps you improve your body language and smile while talking. If you practice with a friend, they can ask you questions, and you can answer them. For example, your friend might ask, how are you today? And you can say, I am very happy today because the weather is nice. Practicing like this makes you feel ready for real conversations. Listening to how others answer questions is another great way to learn. Watch videos or listen to people speaking English. Pay attention to how they structure their answers. For example, if someone asks, do you like sports? They might answer, yes, I like sports because they're fun and healthy. Notice how they give a reason after their answer. You can try doing the same thing. For example, if someone asks, do you like music? You can say, yes, I like music because it makes me feel happy. It is also okay to keep your answers short if you don't know what to say. For example, if someone asks, are you tired? You can simply say, yes, I am, or no, I am not. Short answers are still correct, and you can always add more details later if you want. The most important thing is to answer clearly and honestly. Finally, practice answering questions every day. You can make a list of common questions and write down your answers. Then, read your answers out loud. Over time, you will feel more comfortable speaking without thinking too much. Making your own questions is an important step in learning English. When you create questions, you practice thinking in English and using the language in a natural way. One easy way to start is by turning statements into questions. For example, if you say, I like pizza, you can change it into a question. Do you like pizza? This is a simple way to practice making questions about food, hobbies, or anything else you talk about. To make your own questions, you can also use a question words you learned before, like what, where, when, who, why, and how. For example, if you want to ask about someone's favorite hobby, you can say, what is your favorite hobby? If you want to know where they go on weekends, you can ask, where do you go on weekends? These questions help you learn more about others and keep the conversation interesting. Another good idea is to think about topics you enjoy and make questions about them. For example, if you like movies, you can ask, what is your favorite movie? Or do you like action movies? If you like sports, you can ask, do you play football? Or who is your favorite player? By asking about things you like, you will feel more comfortable speaking because you already know a lot about the topic. You can also practice writing your questions first. Take a piece of paper and write down 5 questions about one topic. For example, if the topic is school, you can write 1. What is your favorite subject? 2. Who is your best teacher? 3. Do you like homework? 4. Where do you study at home? 5. How do you go to school? After writing the questions, practice saying them out loud. You can also ask these questions to a friend or family member. This helps you get used to speaking and listening in English. When you make your own questions, try to use simple grammar. For example, use do or does for yes/no questions. For example, do you like ice cream or does she play tennis? If you're asking about a thing or a place, use what or where. For example, what is this or where's the park? Simple grammar makes your questions easy to understand and answer. It is also fun to make questions about daily life. For example, you can ask, what did you eat today? Or how was your day? These questions are great for talking to friends or family because everyone has something to say about their day. You can also ask yourself questions to practice. For example, ask, what do I want to do tomorrow? Then answer, I want to go to the park. Practicing English with a partner or in a group is one of the best ways to improve your speaking skills. When you talk to someone else, you get to use a language in real conversations. This helps you feel more confident and makes learning fun. For example, if you practice alone, you might only repeat words or sentences. But when you have a partner, you can ask questions and give answers like in real life. If you want to practice with a partner, start by finding someone who also wants to learn English. It can be a friend, a family member, or even someone from an online language group. Once you have a partner, take turns asking and answering questions. For example, one person can ask, what is your favorite food? And the other can answer, my favorite food is pasta. Then switch roles. The person who answered can now ask, do you like pizza? And the first person can reply, yes, I do. This back and forth practice helps you think quickly and speak naturally. Using easy topics makes it easier to talk. You don't need to start with difficult subjects. Begin with simple things like family, school, hobbies, or food. For example, you can ask, how many people are in your family? Or what do you do after school? These topics are familiar, so you won't feel nervous talking about them. As you get better, you can move on to more interesting topics like travel, movies, or dreams for the future. Another way to make practice fun is to turn it into a game. For example, one person can ask 5 questions and the other must answer all of them. Then switch roles. You can also play a guessing game. One person thinks of something like a fruit or a place, and the other asks yes/no questions to guess what it is. For example, is it big or is it sweet? This kind of game makes learning exciting and helps you remember new words. If you are in a group, everyone can join the practice. One person can start by asking a question, and the next person answers. Then that person asks another question, and so on. For example, the first person might ask, where do you live? The second person answers, I live in London, and then asks, what is your job? The third person answers, I am a teacher, and asks a new question. This keeps everyone involved and makes the conversation flow smoothly. Practicing with others also helps you learn from their mistakes and ideas. If your partner says something interesting, you can ask more about it. For example, if they say, I love playing basketball, you can ask, why do you love it? Or who do you play with? This helps you learn new words and ways to express yourself. You can also listen to how they pronounce words and copy their style to improve your own speaking. Using English in real life is one of the best ways to improve your speaking skills. When you use a language outside of practice, it becomes more natural and useful. For example, when you go to a shop, you can ask questions like, how much is this? Or where's the milk? These are simple questions, but they help you get comfortable using English in everyday situations. The more you use English in real life, the easier it becomes to speak without thinking too much. At school or work, you can also try to speak English. If your teacher or boss speaks English, you can ask them questions like, what time is the meeting? Or, can you explain this again? Even if you only use 1 or 2 sentences, it helps you practice. You can also talk to your classmates or coworkers in English. For example, you might say, "Do you want to eat lunch together?" Or, "What do you think about this project?" These small conversations make a big difference in your learning. Talking to friends in English is another great way to practice. If you have friends who also want to learn English, you can agree to speak English for a few minutes every day. For example, you can ask them, "What did you do yesterday?" Or, "Do you like this song?" It doesn't have to be serious. You can laugh and have fun while practicing. If your friends don't speak English, you can still try asking them simple questions in English and see if they understand. For example, you might say, "Do you like ice cream?" They might smile and say yes, even if they don't speak English well. You can also practice English at home with your family. For example, during dinner, you can ask, "What is your favorite food?" Or, "How was your day?" If you live alone, you can talk to yourself in English. For example, while cooking, you might say, "I need to cut the vegetables," or, "This soup smells good." Talking to yourself helps you think in English and improves your speaking skills. Another way to use English in real life is by asking questions when you go out. For example, if you visit a park, you can ask someone, "Where is a restroom?" Or, "Is this path safe to walk on?" If you're at a restaurant, you can ask, "What is today's special?" Or, "Can I have water, please?" These questions are short and easy, but they help you feel confident using English in public. When people speak English to you, try to answer their questions. For example, if someone asks, "Do you need help?" you can say, "Yes, thank you," or "No, I am fine." Answering questions in English shows that you are learning and trying to use the language. It also helps you practice listening and responding quickly. Watching, listening, and learning from English videos and podcasts is a great way to improve your speaking skills. When you watch or listen to native speakers, you learn how they talk, ask questions, and answer them. This helps you understand real English in everyday situations. For example, if you watch a video about cooking, you might hear someone ask, "How do I cut this onion?" Then the person answers, "You need to slice it carefully." Listening to these kinds of conversations teaches you how to ask and answer questions naturally. One good way to start is by watching short videos online. You can find videos about food, travel, hobbies, or anything you enjoy. For example, if you like animals, watch a video about dogs or cats. Pay attention to the questions people ask, like, "What does this animal eat?" Or, "Where does it live?" Then listen to how they answer. After watching, try to repeat the questions and answers out loud. This helps you practice speaking and improves your pronunciation. Listening to simple English podcasts is another helpful activity. Podcasts are like radio shows, but you can listen to them anytime. Find a podcast for English learners and listen to short episodes. For example, some podcasts teach common questions like, "How was your weekend?" Or, "What do you do for fun?" The hosts explain how to ask and answer these questions. After listening, pause the podcast and practice saying the questions and answers yourself. Over time, you will remember them and feel more comfortable using them in real life. Another good idea is to copy how native speakers talk. When you watch or listen, notice their tone, speed, and expressions. For example, if someone says, "Do you like coffee?" they might sound friendly and curious. Try to copy their voice when you practice. You can also pay attention to how they use words like "please" and "thank you" to be polite. Copying native speakers helps you sound more natural when you speak. It's also helpful to write down new words or phrases you hear. For example, if you hear someone say, "This is amazing," or "I'm not sure," write it down in a notebook. Later, practice using these phrases in your own sentences. For example, you can say, "This pizza's amazing," or "I'm not sure where my keys are." Writing things down helps you remember them better. If you want to make learning fun, you can watch movies or cartoons in English. Choose ones with simple language and turn on subtitles if you need help. For example, in a cartoon, you might hear a character ask, "Where's my toy?" or "Why are you sad?" These are easy questions you can practice. Pause the movie and repeat what the characters say. This makes learning enjoyable and helps you remember new words. Practicing English every day is the key to becoming a better speaker. Even if you only spend 10 minutes a day, it makes a big difference. Regular practice helps you remember new words, use correct grammar, and feel more confident when you talk. The most important thing is to make English a part of your daily life. For example, you can practice while brushing your teeth, walking to school, or cooking dinner. This way, learning English becomes easy and natural. One good way to practice is by making flashcards with questions and answers. Write a question on one side of the card and the answer on the other. For example, write, "What is your favorite color?" on one side and "My favorite color is blue" on the other. Then, test yourself every day. Look at the question and try to answer without looking at the back. If you get it right, move on to the next card. If not, practice that question again. Flashcards are a simple and fun way to review what you've learned. Talking to yourself in English is another great habit. You don't need anyone else to practice speaking. For example, while getting ready in the morning, you can say, "I am brushing my teeth," or "Today I will wear my red shirt." When you eat breakfast, you can say, "This bread is very tasty," or "I like coffee in the morning." Talking to yourself helps you think in English and improves your speaking skills. It also gives you a chance to practice full sentences without feeling nervous. Learning one new question every day is another helpful idea. Start with simple questions like, "What do you do on weekends?" or "How was your day?" Write the question down and practice saying it out loud. Then, try to use it in a real conversation. For example, ask a friend or family member the same question. If you don't have anyone to talk to, ask yourself the question and give an answer. Over time, you will build a collection of useful questions that you can use anytime. Another way to practice is by repeating what you hear. For example, if you watch a video or listen to a podcast, pause after each sentence and repeat it. Try to copy the speaker's tone and pronunciation. This helps you sound more natural when you speak. You can also record yourself speaking and listen to the recording. This way, you can hear your own voice and notice areas where you can improve. Finally, remember that progress takes time. Don't expect to become perfect overnight. Instead, focus on small improvements every day. For example, if you learn one new word or phrase each day, you will know 365 new things by the end of the year. Celebrate your successes, no matter how small they are. If you can say a sentence correctly or understand a new word, that's a big step forward. The more you practice, the better you will get. English becomes easier when you use it every day. So set aside a few minutes each day for practice. Make flashcards, talk to yourself, or watch videos. Use every opportunity to speak and listen. With patience and effort, you will see amazing results. Keep practicing, and soon you will be speaking English with confidence.